When did you realize the kids your parents were saving actually saved you? My parents fostered 17 kids over 12 years and treated every single one of them like royalty while I lived in the laundry room. The first foster child arrived when I was 6, and my mother immediately gave him the bedroom she'd promised me for getting straight A's because foster children deserve a real space to heal. When he had nightmares, she'd hold him for hours singing lullabies. But when I had strep throat, she told me to sleep in the garage so I wouldn't infect the foster kids. By 10 years old, I knew the drill for every new arrival. Give up your belongings because they've been through enough. Cancel your plans because family bonding helps them adjust. Skip your school events because their therapy matters more. My parents threw their first foster child an elaborate going-away party with 300 guests and a 5-tier cake when he reunited with his aunt. 2 weeks later, they forgot my birthday completely until the foster kids reminded them at dinner, and Dad said, "Birthdays are just commercial nonsense anyway, but fine, we'll get you something next week." Mom ran a support group for foster parents at our church, where she was constantly celebrated as a saint while referring to me as our helper, like I was hired staff instead of their daughter. The foster kids genuinely loved me and constantly questioned the different treatment, which made everything worse. One girl would sneak into my laundry room crying because Mom wouldn't let me join movie nights even though family activities were supposedly mandatory. "You're their actual daughter. Why are you in here doing their taxes while we watch movies?" A 12-year-old boy tried giving me his brand new PlayStation because he felt guilty getting a $2,000 gaming setup while I had a laptop from 2009 that crashed while running email. A younger foster daughter asked my mother point blank at dinner why she never hugged me, and Mom said, "Biological children don't need physical affection because they have genetic proof of love." The girl looked at me and said, "That's the stupidest thing I've ever heard, and I've been in the system for 6 years." While my parents attended galas and support groups accepting awards for their sacrifice, I was the one actually raising these kids. I taught 3 different foster boys to tie their ties for court dates while my parents were at foster parent appreciation dinners. I held a 7-year-old through panic attacks every night for 6 months, teaching her breathing exercises I'd learned from YouTube because my parents said she just needed to self-soothe. I helped 5 different teenagers with homework until 3 in the morning because my parents believed in natural consequences for grades, but these kids had never been taught basic math. I drove foster kids to therapy appointments using gas money from my grocery store job while my parents updated their foster family blog about the healing power of unconditional love. One 16-year-old foster sister sobbed in my arms after her first heartbreak while my mother was at a conference presenting about attachment parenting, and my father golfed with other foster dads. I taught 4 different foster kids to drive in the grocery store parking lot after my shifts because my parents said driving was a privilege they hadn't earned yet, but I knew they'd age out with no one to teach them. I snuck birthday cakes into the house for foster kids whose birthdays my parents forgot to celebrate because there were too many kids to keep track of, but I kept a calendar in my laundry room with every single important date. A foster brother told me before leaving for college that I was the only parent who'd ever shown up to his basketball games, despite that I'd only been 15 myself, sitting in those bleachers with homework on my lap cheering for him. When I turned 18, my parents handed me apartment listings and said it was time to be independent because they needed my laundry room for a sensory calm-down space for traumatized children. I worked 3 jobs to pay for community college while sleeping on different couches because they spent $8,000 renovating my former room. Then when I got accepted to my dream university with a partial scholarship needing $5,000 for the remainder and asked my parents for a loan, Mom literally laughed in my face and said, "We just spent $12,000 on equine therapy for our newest placement. Do you think money grows on trees?" That night, I got a call from one of the first foster kids who'd aged out years ago and kept in touch. I heard what happened from the younger kids. "I've been saving money since I got my job to help you out. It's not much, but I hope it helps." Within a week, she showed up at my job with an envelope containing $6,000 in cash that she and 4 other former foster kids had been secretly saving for me. They'd all gotten jobs after aging out and decided independently to save money for when I finally needed to escape because I was the only real parent any of them had ever known.